Bertrand Russell was a famous thinker from England. He was born in 1872 and became known for his work in philosophy, mathematics, and many other areas of knowledge. Throughout his life, he was curious about the world and always asked big questions. He wanted to understand how things worked and what was true. Many people read his books and listened to his talks because he had a way of explaining difficult ideas in simple words. When Bertrand was a young boy, he was interested in learning. His family was important and educated, but he didn't have a happy childhood. He lost his parents when he was very young. His grandfather, who was a powerful man, took care of him. He had a strict education and spent much time learning from books. However, even though he was often lonely, Bertrand loved studying, and this made him grow into a wise and thoughtful person. As a young man, Bertrand went to Cambridge University to study mathematics and philosophy. At Cambridge, he met many famous people and learned from them. He became very good at understanding complex ideas. He was a student of logic, which is a way of thinking that helps people find correct answers to problems. He also studied philosophy, which is the study of questions like what is the meaning of life, or what is true. He found these subjects fascinating, and they stayed with him throughout his life. At Cambridge, Bertrand met other thinkers who shared his love for learning and exploring new ideas. He spent hours reading books and discussing ideas with his friends. It was at Cambridge that he began to form his own thoughts about philosophy and logic. He realized that many of the things that people believed were not always based on good evidence or strong reasoning. This led him to question everything, including old ideas that people had believed for centuries. Bertrand Russell's work was not just about learning old ideas. He wanted to find new answers. He asked many questions that others did not ask. For example, he thought a lot about the world of numbers and how we can know what is true in math. He worked on the idea of logic and tried to explain how we can use it to understand everything. His book Principia Mathematica was a big achievement. In this book, he worked with another famous thinker, Alfred North Whitehead. They showed how mathematics could be explained using logic. This was an important moment in the history of math and philosophy. Russell's work helped change the way people thought about mathematics, and his ideas still influence modern mathematics today. Russell also thought deeply about how society works. He believed that people should be free to think for themselves and make their own choices. He was interested in politics and spent a lot of time writing about it. He thought that war was a terrible thing and that countries should try to find peaceful ways to solve their problems. During both World War I and World War II, he spoke out against the wars, even though many people disagreed with him. He believed in peace and often said that the power of ideas could help make the world a better place. His outspoken beliefs made him many enemies, but he never stopped speaking out for what he believed was right. In addition to his work in philosophy and mathematics, Bertrand Russell cared a lot about education. He believed that learning should not just be about memorizing facts. Instead, he thought that schools should teach children how to think, ask questions, and find answers. He believed that education should help people become wise and kind, so they could make the world better. He wrote many books about education and worked with schools to improve the way children were taught. One of his goals was to help children think for themselves, not just follow orders. He believed that the ability to think critically was one of the most important skills that people could learn. Even though Bertrand Russell was a very smart and successful person, he faced many difficulties in his life. Sometimes, people did not agree with his ideas, and this made his life hard. For example, his opposition to war made some people angry. In fact, during World War I, he was put in prison for speaking out against the war. Even though this was a difficult time for him, he did not stop sharing his beliefs. He believed that speaking the truth was more important than being popular or safe. Russell's time in prison did not stop him from continuing his work. In fact, it made him more determined to share his thoughts with the world. Russell's work wasn't only about big ideas. He also cared about people. He thought that all people should have the same rights, and that we should work to end injustice and unfairness. He was a strong supporter of women's rights, and he believed that women should have the same opportunities as men in education and work. He also believed that people should treat each other with kindness and respect, no matter where they came from or what they believed. Russell's support for social justice and equality helped shape the way people think about human rights today. Later in his life, Bertrand Russell continued to work and write about many different topics. He wrote books about philosophy, history, science, and many other subjects. He gave speeches around the world, and many people admired him for his ideas and courage. In 1950, he won the Nobel Prize in Literature for his work in philosophy. Even though he had many struggles and difficulties in his life, he never stopped working for the things he believed in. He continued to travel and speak about peace, education, and freedom. He also spent much of his time writing books and essays that explored the deep questions of life. Despite his fame and success, Bertrand Russell always remained humble. He was never satisfied with simple answers, and he never stopped asking questions. He believed that life was a constant journey of discovery, and he encouraged others to seek knowledge and wisdom. Russell believed that thinking clearly and logically was the key to solving many of the world's problems, and he tried to inspire others to think in the same way. His love for learning never faded, and he always felt that there was more to understand. Bertrand Russell lived for a long time, and he continued to share his ideas until he died in 1970 at the age of 97. His ideas still influence many people today. Even though he is no longer alive, people still read his books and talk about his thoughts. He is remembered as one of the greatest thinkers of the 20th century. His work has changed the way people think about everything from mathematics to politics, and his influence can still be seen in many areas of life. In conclusion, Bertrand Russell was an important person who changed the way people think about many things. He helped people understand mathematics and logic in new ways. He spoke up for peace and believed that education should help people think for themselves. His life was not easy, but he never stopped working to make the world a better place. His ideas continue to inspire people, and his legacy will never be forgotten. Even though he passed away many years ago, the lessons he taught about curiosity, peace, and fairness are still very important today. Russell's work reminds us that asking questions, thinking carefully, and striving for a better world are the best ways to live a meaningful life.